Hey
Hello,
Louisa,
hello. Good morning, everybody.
how we doing?
Doing great. I
Hey
always ask
guys.
about the weather. The weather sucks here today.
Yeah, we have some over
Hello,
here all of
Ayelet.
a sudden.
You have summer. Oh, our summer went there.
Yeah, probably.
How's UK, Darren?
Sucks, mate. It's always bad weather here. I think we get like 2 weeks of sun and then we're back into winter.
Yeah, yeah. So everything's normal.
Yeah, yeah, normal. Yeah,
And you, Sandra?
Oh, we have sunny now, but we had lots of rain. But it's very sunny
Awesome.
today.
All right. How's the how's the weather where everybody is? Ayelet, Luisa, Theodora, Jawaria, Sudhir,
Is it hard or is it
Amit.
what's
I don't know.
I'm assuming hot is for hot or whatever people
Hi,
enjoy.
hi, Perry. How are you doing? Glad to have you here. All right, we've got a few people in. Let's kick this into gear. Oh, we've got someone wanting to speak already.
Hmm.
All right. So if you've been with us before, these events are 100% interactive. They are for you guys, and we're here to answer any questions you have. Today we have, because there's a few more of us. Well, one more of us. We're gonna have a little bit of a different structure, so feel free to raise your hands, but we might just wait a little bit until we bring you up on stage, but just leave them up and we will bring you on stage to ask anything you want. Feel free to ask anything. Today, especially this episode of Mastering LinkedIn Client Attraction is about secret insights. So we're here to spill all our secrets. I know Dana and Sandra have some interesting ones to tell us, and both Darren and myself we're going to be sharing some interesting secrets at the end as well, a bit towards the end. Something that we've been playing around with and that has been giving us some interesting results. So it's the secret day. I don't know if both Dana and Sandra have been with us before. They've been amazing guests. They've shared incredible insights with us, and now they're working together, and it's going to be even better. It's two instead of one, and two of my favorite people over here on LinkedIn. So what I'm gonna do is this time, because they have something amazing to share with us, I'm just gonna put it in their hands, let them start this, and Darren and I will talk to you a bit later. Regardless, again, the same thing. Any questions? Just raise your hands, and whenever we feel that we can bring you up to talk, we'll do so.
yeah. I think we'll try and keep the
So
questions to the end this time, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. With this being said, Dana is going to start this off, and Dana is now the LinkedIn doctor because she's the one that gives us the diagnostics for what's going on with our accounts. There's no one that understands the LinkedIn better than Dana. And this is where what they have been doing starts. I don't know how much they want to start share with us, so I'll let her do it. Now that we have quite a few more people. Just a last welcome to those who joined late. Dana, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Fran, for the introduction, and thank you everyone for joining us today. It's a pleasure to see so many familiar faces in the audience. And Sandra and I will do our best to, yeah, to like really spill all the beans that we have for you. So before we start out, I don't know, what industry all of you guys are in. I'm assuming quite a few are probably in marketing. Do you want to give me a thumbs up if you're in marketing? Okay, I can see some thumbs up. Actually, fewer than expected, which is interesting.
Not
But
many marketers
anywho,
as you expected.
yeah, no, I actually expected more marketers. But Anyway, this actually makes what I'm about to say more relevant, as a matter of fact, because for anyone who's not in marketing, you kind of have to know that what you're doing on LinkedIn is marketing. Whether you're marketing yourself or you're marketing your services or you're marketing a product or something like this, it is marketing any way we look at it. And the reason why I'm saying this is because marketing without data and analytics and tracking just doesn't work. And anyone in the audience who is actually a marketer is going to confirm that. It's actually something Fran and I talk about a lot. Yeah, we do talk a lot about marketing. So marketing without any kind of analytics and data points to analyze is just basically futile. You can't do anything with it. You can try any strategy, you can launch any kind of campaign, but without the ability to track it and see what works and what doesn't, I may even go as far as to say that it's just pointless. So one of the big problems that LinkedIn has, and it's actually the thing that brought Sandra and me together, is the fact that our friends on LinkedIn just make it very hard for us to track anything that's meaningful. And my suspicion is that they do this on purpose, actually. They're just really giving you the metrics that are going to boost your dopamine and make you hooked to the platform. Because anytime you have a successful post and your impressions jump and you're like, yay, I'm on good track, I'm nailing this LinkedIn thing. And then when they drop after that successful post, a lot of people just really feel like crap. Excuse my language, but I've heard this just so many times from various creators. It really just plays on your psyche in some kind of a way when you see that red number with an arrow down. And they do this on purpose because they want you hooked onto the platform. Because if you're not going to pay them with money for paid advertising, you pay them with your time. And they do give a lot if you spend a lot of your time in there. So, the old saying that what you don't pay with time or with money, you pay with time. It's 100% true for LinkedIn, as most of you have probably already found out. So the metrics that we have are really not useful, and there needs to be another way to be able to track things. But before we go into what exactly these things are, I just want to make one thing very clear. There is not anything like a one-stop shop or a golden formula that is going to work on everyone in terms of metrics. Depending on who you are, what you do, and who you target, you are going to be looking at completely different metrics. So this is incredibly important, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that one cliche that I'm fairly certain your ears are burning from hearing by now. But as we know, cliches are cliches for a reason. Most of the time, they're true. And it's the cliche about the ideal client. So when it comes to targeting and prospecting, and conversely to building your strategy, you need to know where this client is on LinkedIn. Where do they stand? Are they active? Are they lurking? Are they engaging? Like, what exactly are their habits? What are they most likely to do? And I'll give you an example, something that Darren and I have also talked about. Coaches tend to be very active on LinkedIn, but let's say CEOs, not really. Or at least with CEOs, you're never really going to see anyone commenting or liking stuff or sharing stuff. It still doesn't mean they're not there, but this is something that's very important to you depending on who you target. So the reason why I'm saying this is because, and I'll actually give you a real case study with a client of mine. She came to me and she was saying, okay, my content strategy is not working and I don't know what to do. My engagement is very low. My impressions are actually okay, but I'm hardly getting any comments. So we started working together. And what you need to know about this client is that she sells very, very high ticket. By very high ticket, I mean she sells coaching, which I think about 20K, which is a lot. So it's a high ticket B2B service, and she's targeting C-level. So what I told her was, you don't really need to be worried about engagement in that case, because I don't think that anyone from the C-level is going to comment on your posts, and this is to be expected. But so what you need to do is not really focus on engagement so much and tracking that metric. What you need to focus on is actually finding these people and reaching out to them, and your outreach is going to be different than if you're reaching out to someone who's active on LinkedIn. um, in her case, engagement really just had the role of distribution and not much more than that. Then with other people, like let's say with Darren, for example, I would say, yeah, I mean, you're targeting people who are highly active, so you need to engage a lot and you need to care about your own engagement. So it's very different. And this is something that if it's not clear to you right now, this is the first thing I would recommend anyone just really does. If you don't have clients yet, which I assume you do, if you don't have clients, just think about the person you would like to work with and what's the probability of them showing a certain behavior. And if you've already had clients, think of someone who was great to work with whom the entire sales process was very easy, and who is just a great fit for your service or your product. And then just sit down and just list all their habits, all their behaviors, how they found you or how you found them. And then just start trying to test hypotheses whether this applies to other people as well and whether they could be your ideal client. And so again, I'm sorry that I had to bring up the cliche with the ideal client again, but this is incredibly important. And one other thing that engagement is really important for, and that's not talking about client acquisition or anything, because I do realize that not everyone is on LinkedIn for client acquisition. People want to build an audience and build a personal brand. If that's the case, then engagement is everything to you. Like, you need to know who's in the comment section. You need to know why they're in the comment section. And you need to reverse engineer a lot as well, because your content is a magnet to people, and you need to look at the people who engage with it and ask yourself, why are they engaging with it? What did they see in the content? And this is going to help you a lot also with the actual content, because you may not be attracting the people that you'd like to be attracting. And this is where I'm just really angry with LinkedIn, because they give us zero insight into our comment sections, and I just don't really think it's fair, because it's our engagement. And there's so much that you can learn from just segmenting the people and analyzing them, the ones who show up in your comment section. And geo marketing is a very large part of that. For example, if you're in the US and you're targeting people in the US, then if your comment section is 90% Asia, you are in trouble, I would say. And a lot of this may come from the fact that you have engaged with a lot of people from Asia as well, and you've created that like negative feedback loop where you engage with them, they engage with you, and at some point your content is only really being distributed in Asia. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're actually targeting people in the US, this is a problem indeed. So geo-marketing is a very, very huge one. And I personally have been working very consciously on this part. And right now, for example, amongst my 100 top engagers, I have 43% Europe and 34% North America, which is great for me because these are the people that I'm targeting personally. And regarding geomarketing, I wanted to say something else. Yeah, so when you engage with someone in a particular location, when they get engaged back, most of their connections are going to see your post in their feed. And usually we tend to have this phenomenon where if I'm from Bulgaria, there's a very high likelihood that most of my network is going to be Bulgarian. So if I engage with you, you're exposing yourself to Bulgarians. So be very mindful about who you engage with and how exactly you segment your top supporters. And this is where actually having some kind of a CRM tracking file or something with people that you want to support or that you want to start relationships with is just absolute key. Because as we know, LinkedIn's notifications are just horrible, and sometimes you would even enable the notification bell for someone to show up on your feed, and they still wouldn't show up on your feed for whatever reason. So unfortunately, semi-manual tracking is something that we need to do, but also it just gives you so much more insight into who exactly are you in some kind of a relationship with. Because I don't know whether this has happened to you, but it's happened to me quite a few times where I actually stumble upon someone on LinkedIn and I think to myself, okay, this is actually someone really, really interesting. I would love to get to know them. And I wouldn't bookmark that profile URL and then they would be gone. Like, has this happened to you before?
Yes.
Any thumbs or hearts or anyone? Because I find this very frustrating. I can see a lot of thumbs up in the comment section. Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely hate this because, regardless of what our goals are for LinkedIn, and so far I've learned that everyone has something in particular in mind. The real wealth of LinkedIn is just being able to find someone and just drop them a DM. And if the DM isn't some snake oil salesman pitch, there is a very, very high chance that they're going to reply to you. And just show me another social media where you're able to do that, because I can't possibly think of one. You can't do that on Instagram, can't really do that on TikTok. You can only really start a conversation like this on LinkedIn, and people are really, really open to having that. Of course, unless you pitch them in the first DM.
Yeah, that's what
So
LinkedIn's for, networking.
yeah, but people seem to forget that. I feel like a lot of people seem to forget that.
Yeah, they get blinded by the hunting of the client.
Yeah, and the quick wins, which always leads to the pitches in the first DM as well. I guess as we've all experienced. Yeah, so regarding metrics, as I said already, there are quite a few metrics you can track. You can track impressions, you can track engagement, you can track relevant people, you can track relevant people in your comment section, you can track followers per post, and you can also track how many followers a particular post generated, which is also something that is not to be found anywhere on LinkedIn. And it's an incredibly important metric, because if you have a post that generated, I don't know, 200 new followers in a day, then okay, this is amazing, top of the funnel, like I need to keep that format in. But without a
Absolutely.
system to track this, it's incredibly hard, because how are you going to do that? Like, are you going to
Yeah.
write it by hand
Yeah, I
somewhere?
do it. I do it. I track it, but it's not reliable because I can be having followers today coming from a post that I posted 3 days ago and not the one I posted today.
Yes, of course. Like, tracking this is never going to be easy, but very often it's just there is no way to note it down. You know what I mean? With this, for example, you post something and then all of a sudden you see that your follower count has jumped by 200. I mean, you can be fairly sure that it was the post that you posted that generated that.
Yeah, but fairly sure is not enough in marketing.
Yeah, but then again, as you know very well, such thing as attribution in marketing is one of the most fickle and unattainable beasts that exist, Fran.
Absolutely.
So yeah, if we have to talk about this, both in data and marketing, everything is pretty much the best estimate you can get. And it's never really a 100% sure number, but having at least an estimate is better than not having anything, I would say.
Yeah, that's why I track it.
Yeah. Yeah, guys. So metrics can really show you what's working and what's not. And this is actually what I based my free tool, LinkedIn Diagnostics, on. It has a couple of different variables, so a couple of different questions, and I've poured in all my knowledge of analyzing creators, of working with clients into this. And based on these questions, I would say that so far everyone who's done the quiz has agreed with the results and said, yeah, this is actually exactly where my problem is. If you want to try it out, it's in my profile, just the link under my headline. It's free to use, it will always be free. And it's really aimed at trying to help people understand what is missing in their strategy. And yeah, if you try it out, I would love to hear your thoughts and whether it helped you. But I really built this for the open public, and it really also, to me, it shows that if you just look at a couple of variables, let's say impressions, engagement, following, parts of your strategy, for example, how many people do you add to your network, how many people you interact with daily, and so on and so forth, it's actually fairly accurate to analyze which part from the entire LinkedIn strategy you're missing out on. So do give it a try. And it's really, I built this thing just based on lots of analyses. I've analyzed a lot of people on LinkedIn, and Sandra and I have talked a lot about strategy and also geomarketing. And we've had some very interesting insights from our conversations and from our parallel analyses. So I want to give her the stage to tell you more about the details of that. Sandra, if you're okay with that.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Hello. See a lot of known faces. Hey, Arif, are you sending me a heart? Okay, so my frustration began, as I'm pretty sure also a lot of you who regularly engage with people, once I started to notice how much time it takes to engage. And if, for example, I'm a type of a person, when somebody shows me some kind of a support, leaving a comment or something, I do want to return, that kind of a support. And I was, in the beginning of this year, I was really starting to be very tired of it, because it's not just the content creation part, but also this engagement part. And I was listening to different influencers. I don't know, you probably were on some of the Yasmin Alich's events, and he said he engages 5 hours per day, right? In the beginning, they were engaging for 8 hours per day. That's like crazy amounts of time. Like, who in a straight mind does that? Like there's no other life. And I was thinking, okay, so we started these conversations with Dana, and in the beginning of this year, we didn't have, synced process, how to pull this data and how to read and so on. And I started doing some things by foot on my own, analyzing who is engaging with me. And it was very interesting because, for example, the effort in some of the people I was putting, where I thought, that they are kind of regularly supporting me, they were not. And people that were regularly supporting me and were actually my friends, I was not so consistent in returning this favor. So once I changed also my content strategy and my account started to grow in a sense of how many people engage with me and so on, it was really difficult to track, because I will give you some of the insights that now I have since we're working with Dana. And one is, I have on average 136 people engaging, unique people, so not comments, but unique people engaging under my posts. Now imagine answering 136 people, plus maybe you have somebody else, that it's not regularly engaging, but you also want to support. So that's a lot of effort. So what I started to do is like a light segmentation to really understand my audience and really understand individuals. So do I want to have more of these individuals? Do I want to develop a relationship with them? What kind of relationship do I want to develop? It's not always ICP. It could be people you could, I don't know, recruit sometime in your life, could be different talent for marketing, could be, I don't know, people you are getting friends with, people that could develop into, I don't know, business relationships like Dana and I. I'm pretty sure I have in my network, and I now know for a fact, a lot of people where I could start collaborating because we have very compatible strengths. So I started looking at all these engagers in a different way. And I will give you some other results that I have now is, for example, when I started, I was engaging with everyone, regardless of where. But I come from Europe, right? So my prime market is definitely Europe, because I want more opportunities here. My clients are active in Europe. And the second market, it's North America. And then in the beginning, I had primarily, in the top percentage, people, engagers from different markets. And if you remember the LinkedIn feed, so if you engage with somebody, it shows in their feed, it shows in their network. So you're kind of amplifying your reach and your voice in the location or geography where that certain individual is. So I started to change that gradually. So I will give you now results. I have 160 people in my database who I engage, not everyone all the time, but I have different set priorities. And 43% is from Europe now. 34% is from North America. I have 15% people from Asia I engage with. I have 2.8% in Africa, 0.7% South America, and Australia and New Zealand, 2.8%. And for me, this is very important insight because it matters. So what is my intention, and which markets would like to be visible more? And the second thing is, what is also my clients' interest in which markets they would like to be visible in. So I kind of started designing my engagement in this way. And other thing was very interesting. So 89 people out of 160 are marketers. If I don't have a product that it's appropriate for marketers, right? And if I don't have anything else in my strategy plan, how much does it make sense that I pull more marketing people inside if I don't have some kind of a strategy where it would make sense? So, and the rest of the percentage is, I don't know, from personal development, HR, business, sales, IT, finance, AI, I don't know, startups, product development, whatever. And there are also, other specifics inside that are not strictly database, but it's very informative. If I started tagging people based on what is our level of relationship. So are we acquaintances? Are we friends? Are these relationships something I want to put more effort in? So I started tagging them. Okay, develop, put this relationship in development. And that means I have now notifications, where I get every 2 weeks something, send this person a message. And this is also very good if I would have potentially plans to warm up somebody for a certain idea. You have to show up and start having conversations, just conversations with these people, so we become closer, right? So it's kind of a warming up stage. And this could be your ICP, or could be influencer collaboration, or could be, I don't know, you really like somebody and you want to develop a relationship with that person or a friendship, So I started also adding these tags, and this part is dramatically changing the quality of all the relationships I currently have inside, and it was extremely helpful. And LinkedIn metrics, they do not show you that. So this is just one part. And another data that was really interesting for me is, so from 160 people that I have, my network power combined with all of them is 1.5 million. So all my people that I'm regularly engaging with have the network power of 1.5 million. And that's pretty good, right? Because this means if they engage with you, this means it amplifies your reach in the regions, in the niches, and where you want to be. And again, LinkedIn does not give that. And this is something Dana and I, we were passionately talking about and passionately starting discussing and inventing new metrics, how to improve the measuring of who is in our audiences when engagement is important. And I'll just one more last thing, Dana, and I will pass it to you. So the interesting thing, if I go to the CP part, is that a lot of my clients engaged with me only once or twice. And once you start seeing also who shows up one time or twice, you could look at those people, from also this angle, because ICPs usually they don't engage. People that are, like Dana said before, people that are interested in building audiences, they engage. And this was interesting. Oh, and another story, Dana, if you allow me, I would just say another story. So I had a funny event 1 month ago, because once I post, I really try to support everyone I haven't planned to develop any kind of relationship with. And 1 month ago, somebody from my network that started not long ago engaging with me tagged me under their post, kind of guilt tripping me. Why don't I engage with them? And of course, it was a little like you would brush a cat in a opposite direction of the hair growth, very uncomfortable. And then I went and looked in my database, and compared. So this person was actually on 140th spot of engagement. So there were 140 people that were, rooting for me, I don't know, on regular basis before that person. And it didn't really make sense that I start prioritizing that person, because I had 440 people that I had a better or a longer relationship with. And this is also what helped me a little bit of, in the decision making, where do I place my energy? Because I can tell you for sure, I don't know about you, but I'm not planning to invest 5 hours of my engagement time daily or even 3 times per week for LinkedIn or any social media. So just wanted to share that. And I didn't say anything to that guy, but yeah, it really frustrated me. And that's it. Dana?
Yeah, so what Sandra is saying, I wanted to just to like go back to one point that she said regarding the network constitution, and especially the top engagers, but mostly the network. And when I say network, I mean connections. So, hers is different than mine. And what I had before is because my main trade is data analytics, I think, apparently, I hope. And this is why throughout the years, I had lots and lots and lots of data analysts in my network. And at some point, I realized actually I started out with data analytics on LinkedIn. I was just working out the platform and, figuring out what's working and just, basically learning. And at some point I realized that actually most people in the data market right now, they're unemployed. So that's not really a profitable niche. I think we can all agree. And also, I mean, what exactly can you offer a data analyst? There are thousands of courses. The market is completely saturated. So I didn't really see myself in that domain. And one of the first things I did when I pivoted to LinkedIn analytics was actually to start cleaning up my network, because I knew that I think I used to have about 60% of data analysts in my network. And I knew that these 60%, they're not going to be interested in anything that I've got to say about LinkedIn in particular. They may lurk, but they wouldn't engage, they wouldn't react in any way. And it's totally fine if you have about, let's say, maybe 30, even 40% of inactive people in your network. I would aim for 30 though, because they could still be lurkers. Yeah. So don't judge anyone on their LinkedIn activity. You don't know how many times per day they log in. But having about 60, 70% of inactive people or even more, that is just overkill for your reach. And this is not an urban myth in any way. Fact of the matter is, the more active connections you have who engage on LinkedIn, the higher your reach is going to be. And one simple example, by the way, that corroborates that theory is the fact that people who joined LinkedIn last year and have like 200 connections are closer to having like 4K followers now. And the reason is because all of these 200 something connections are active because they added them last year. They don't have the baggage of like a 15-year-old, a 20-year-old career. They don't have connections from 2013 from, they're not connected to John, who they worked with for exactly 1 week in some job they had for 6 months. Like their network is brand new and fresh. And if you're someone who's had LinkedIn for a long time, and especially if you're struggling with reach, the first thing you need to do is just clean up your network, because this is just going to skyrocket your impressions. And if it doesn't skyrocket your impressions, it's going to skyrocket your engagement. It really depends. But trying to show your content to active people is definitely one of the best recipes for distribution. So yeah, this is what Sandra said regarding marketers. Having marketers in her network was actually key to her, because marketers tend to be very active on LinkedIn. In my case, data analysts, definitely not. And this is why I had to clean up massively and make a very conscious effort to, to fix the proportion in the niches. And actually right now I'm looking at my top engagers, and I have mostly marketers and coaches and consultants, which is great, which is exactly what I wanted. But again, this is a decision you can make only really based on data. And yeah, I actually, regarding the network cleanup, because I was even challenged at some point by this big influencer saying that, this is basically hearsay and it's myths. And the thing is, it's not. When I cleaned up half my network last year, my impressions rose by 51%. 51%, guys. It's not 5%, it's 51%. And also, I did diagnose this for another client. His content's very good, his offer was very clear, but he had really low impressions with like 10K followers. And we started cleaning, and he got rid of a lot of irrelevant people for his network, because actually turned out that he was doing something completely different. He was in design before, and he had lots of designers who just really didn't care about his new offer, something that he's actually been working on for a year and a half, and they didn't care about it. It really wasn't a service or a product suitable for them. So he started cleaning up, and he definitely also started to make a conscious effort to engage with more people who would find his offer relevant. In his case, this would be coaches of all kinds. So this worked out for him really well as well. It seems to me that a friend wants to say something.
Uh,
Friend?
yeah, actually, Perry wants to say something. No, I just wanted to try to put this into perspective, right? So the algorithms in whatever network we're working in, the only signal that they have to know if something is good or not is the reaction of our audiences, right? So it doesn't matter what platform it is. It's YouTube, it's LinkedIn, it's Facebook, Instagram, whatever. So whenever there's a reaction from the audience, either people are consuming the content, hovering over it, clicking read more, interacting with it, those are the signals that actually tell the algorithm what's happening. Now think about the following. If you're talking to a square full of people, and all of a sudden, like, there's 1,000 people on that square, 900 of them are vegans, and you're talking about fish, i I don't think that those people are going to stay there and listen to you about selling fish, you know. So I'm just trying to put this into perspective. So exactly why, like the reason why the algorithms judge us based on our audience, on our followers. Perry, we might just leave the questions to the end. If you don't mind, we'll bring you up a little bit later, because they have it planned to deliver the exactly what they want. So today it's kind of in Dana and Sandra's hands, the event, but please keep that in mind, and we'll bring you up later. Okay? Thanks. Dana, go ahead.
Yeah, I think this is a really good example. What you what you said. My usual example is, if you're trying to sell an old diesel Volvo to to an audience full of Tesla drivers, you're going to have a very hard time doing that. That's for sure. Pretty much as impossible as selling fish to vegans, with all my respect to vegans. That this is for sure. So yeah, especially guys, if you struggle with low impressions, and you've had an account for a while, this is the first thing that you really need to look into. And I know that it's just, the idea seems very daunting, especially if you have more than 10,000 connections or something like this. But if you think about this, if you have 10, 20,000 connections, like, who are you speaking to? You're speaking to everyone and no one at the same time. This is what I would say, as radical as it sounds. But now, to make a full loop and close the circle back to the beginning, like, LinkedIn is a marketing channel. Yes, it happens to be absolutely fantastic for meeting people, and this is like the best thing about LinkedIn. But especially if you're here and you're active and you're trying to do something like building a brand, building an audience, client acquisition, whatever, like, you have to treat it like a marketing channel.
Yeah,
Sandra,
distribution
I'm
platform.
passing.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sandra, I'm passing over to you in case you want to add anything to this. But I think it would be fair if we start doing questions now, so that there is enough time in case anyone needs to jump off around 1. Oh, actually, around 11 UK time.
Fran and Darren prolong the event because the last time it was too short.
Yeah, no. We always keep them running, and as long as people are happy to stay here, we'll go. They usually go up to 90 minutes, depends on the interest. So if you guys have your delivery more or less handled, we can take a few questions and then we can go from there. It's up to you. With that in mind, even though I see Melvin there, I would like to have to listen to Perry, because Perry has been also one of our guests. He's been in many of our events. He's even spoken, helped us understand a few things about LinkedIn in the past in one of our in the last event. So Perry, you still want to come up and talk to us? Yeah, perfect. Melvin, I'll bring you up in a second, okay? So girls, is this okay? Are we all happy with this? Yeah, perfect. Hi Perry, how are you doing today?
Hey everyone, I'm doing good. This is a great show. This is really, really insightful. So Dana, what you just shared was really insightful, and I've been thinking about cleaning up my network for quite a while. I have just over 20,000 connections, 30,000 followers. But I started on LinkedIn 20 years ago, and I started building up that network quite early on. And I joined the open network things, and then I had to remove 8,000 connections at one point, and then it was a back and forth thing. But I haven't been really developing, like you said, those influencers that started like 2-3 years ago, or even last year. They went quickly, and they're doing really fantastic now. And that makes sense why my content isn't performing as well as theirs, which is fine, because I'm more in a niche anyway. But it makes sense. My question though is that when I remove a connection, because that's what you're talking about, cleaning up, right? Removing the connection.
Yeah.
But what happens is when I remove the connections, they're still following me. I'm not following them, but they're still following me. So so how does that work technically? Because they're still following me, and so technically it's still showing them my post.
Okay, Perry, that's a really good one. So it's a little bit twisted. I'll try to explain it as best I can, and let me know if something doesn't make sense.
Sure.
So my understanding is that at some point in time, LinkedIn introduced creator mode, right?
Yes.
So this enabled people to just follow you and see your content without being connected to you. But the thing is that the moment you enable creator mode, everyone who you were previously connected to automatically became a follower.
Mm-hmm.
So conversely, if someone started following you first and then got connected to you, that's a different scenario. So if you remove someone who you connected to like 15 years ago, when you remove them, you're going to remove them as a follower as well, because you're connected initially. But if you remove someone who followed you initially and then you got connected, then they're going to keep following you because this was the prior action. Does this make sense?
Yeah, sure.
I have tested and proved this.
Okay, that's a good one to look into, because right now, I mean, I had a pretty successful post on Wednesday. I received about 150 connection requests, and each connection request says, such and such has started to follow you and invited to connect with you. So that's the standard now. So it's no longer follow first, and then so it's the standard in my case anyway. I don't know if that's the default for everybody, but what's your experience there?
That's a really good one. That's not how he shows up for me though. Now, if I open my invitations tab right now,
I just
what I'm going to
sent you one,
see.
so let me see. Let me tell what you can tell.
Yeah, but it's LinkedIn. It's going to take a while to load,
Yeah,
That's true.
when
It
someone
says,
sends a connection request, they are immediately following you.
yeah, it says such and such follows you and is inviting you to connect. That's
Yeah.
the default with me now.
But that's just the messaging they put around it, because when they send the connection request, they are sending they are already immediately following you, and if you accept, you start following them as well. That's
Yeah, and
pretty
if you ignore, they're still following you, and you're not following them. So
yes, exactly.
Yeah,
But-
that's the idea.
yeah. What I also really enjoyed is your tip about not engaging with the audience that is not your audience. So basically, people in countries that are not part of your audience. That's
There-
really insightful, and I never looked at it like that. So that's wow. That was a great tip. So anyone else on this call, that's what you need to write down, because that's really powerful. That's that's one of my
Thanks,
biggest
Barry.
takeaways here.
There's one more thing I would like to add to this. It's when the way it's distributed, and you would know, Richard has spoken a lot about this. The way content is distributed is first to your connections, and then only then to your followers. And the initial distribution will judge more the how it's distributed. Like the initial reaction to the initial distribution will judge how it's distributed later. We all know that most of us who've been publishing for a while, we know that in the first few hours we know how successful the post is going to be, more or less. No. So your connections are the first point of contact. Only then it goes to your followers.
I want to add something to this. I want to add some numbers to that, namely. So I've run quite a few reports by now on people, and I can tell you with a 100% certainty that in every case that I've analyzed by now, so from the top 25 engagers, the top 25 people who show up constantly in your content and engage, about minimum of 95% are connections. So let that sink in.
Wow.
No.
Mm.
Right, guys, can I bring Melvin up to speak?
Yeah, thanks,
Everyone
Dana, thanks,
happy?
Sandra, thanks,
We're
Fran and
happy for
Darren.
you to stay here. If you
Thanks,
want to say
Barry.
anything else, Perry.
All right, no, I'll leave.
Thank you, Perry. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Bye,
you so
Melvin.
much, Fran. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Superb. You host a superb event and lovely speakers here. Absolutely fantastic. I found it most
Thank you, Melvin.
amusing. I found it most amusing when the whole world is talking about increasing followers. Dana coming and talking from saying, no, 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 focus on quality. Absolutely fantastic, Dana. Absolutely fantastic. My question
Thank
here
you.
is I've got around 7,000 followers. Most of them are probably irrelevant. Are there any shortcuts to kind of go down to a good 1,000 number? Just if I were to take up your guide and say, okay, fine, I am going to do what Dana's told me to do. What's a nice, efficient way to delete irrelevant connections? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a great question, Melvin. Thank you for asking it. So I'm afraid there is no straightforward answer to that, really. The issue is not what is an efficient way to remove these connections. The question is, what is a safe way?
Right.
Because I can personally tell you of 3 ways to do it, and I'm only really sure that one of them is safe because I programmed it myself. There are some apps that have this automated, like you can select some connections and you can click remove. Now, where my concern comes from this is that these are automation apps. And first of all, automation, as we all know, goes against LinkedIn's user agreement.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be very fast about using something that I know that's not going to do anything that resembles an automated action. Where I'm very concerned with removing connections this way is that if I select 100 connections and I click remove, is this going to remove them like at once? Like, is it going to bulk remove them? Because if it does, there is a very high chance that LinkedIn is going to detect this and it may restrict your account.
Well said.
Yes, so this is an issue. Another way is you can download the connections file from your LinkedIn archive and you can open that Excel file. The best way to first of all recognize who these people are is just go to the column connected on and sort it from oldest to newest. And this way you're going to see the oldest connections on top. And the oldest connections usually tend to be the most irrelevant ones. So you can just start by, looking up the name, clicking on a profile URL, clicking on disconnect. And yes, manually it's going to take you a lot of time. But if you keep under about 200 connections, maybe 300 tops a week, and you don't do it in a very manual way, like you don't move your fingers like a robot, it should be fine. And this is actually why I programmed this solution. I actually programmed it for myself because I know how it processes the whole process. It looks like a human's doing it. And I've even added some waiting times at irregular intervals so that LinkedIn thinks that I'm actually human, exactly for that reason. Because I just removed 250 connections a couple of weeks ago, and I did it using that thing.
I like that if you don't move your finger like a robot.
You're joking about this, but I wrote a newsletter issue on that, by the way, and
Really?
someone got very enthusiastic, yeah, and they decided to clean up their network. And I don't know how fast he was moving, but he managed to ditch about 500 connections in a couple of hours, and guess what, he was restricted. So this is why I'm saying this.
Melvin, I'm gonna mute you because there's some noise coming from your microphone. Go
It's
ahead.
okay. No noise from here. Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. And one very quick one: do the connections know that we have removed them, Fran or Dana, please?
No,
Well, they will know if they look at you, right? Because they see you're not a first connection anymore.
Yes.
But they don't know in the moment you do it.
they're not
Got
going
you.
to get notified. Yeah, they're not going to get a
Exactly.
notification that you remove them. Yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah, because that'd be a bit embarrassing.
Yeah, I know. No, don't worry. Definitely not. I mean, if
That-
someone decides to look you up and sees that, first grade connection, they may wonder, okay, what happened here? I'm sure I was connected to him, but
yes.
that's not that embarrassing, I think.
And the tool that you mentioned, Dana, is that to be bought from you? How do we buy it? How do we use it, please?
You can drop me a connection request and I can tell you the details.
Thank you so much. Fran, thanks for taking my question, dear.
Of course. All right. Anybody else who has any question for Dana or Sandra on these matters, please just raise your hand and leave it up. We'll bring you up to speak. In the meanwhile, I know Darren has something really cool to share with us. So his secret today. Both Darren and I will try to share something with you, which on the aspect of mastering LinkedIn client attraction. In the meanwhile, we'll just take any questions that there are before. I don't know if Dana wants to say anything else on this. There are a few questions coming up. Melvin is back. I don't know, Melvin, if you have another question. If not, put your hand down. If not, if you do, keep it up, and I'll bring you up after Folawe. There you go, Folawe. You are. I hope I'm not assassinating your name. You are muted, so unmute yourself and welcome.
Yeah, you actually pronounced my name very well, and I'm surprised, Frank.
Thank you. I'm glad.
My name is Folawe. You can also call me Matthew. All right, I'm glad to be. I've learned a lot from Dana. Wow, I've learned a lot. This is something that I've been trying to understand how to get clients. So let me go straight to the question. My question is that what is the right approach that has worked for you, especially Dana and Darren? I've been following Darren for a long time, and I've learned several things from Darren, especially when it comes to optimization. All right, though I'm working on that because it's part of what I need to do. But my question is that what's the best strategy when it comes to reaching out to clients, and how can I set myself a global position so beyond my locality because I'm from Nigeria. All right, so let's say I want clients beyond Nigeria. What is the best means for me to be able to achieve this? So these are my questions. Thanks.
Darren, you want to take this one? Or Dana, if you want to say something before.
Yeah, I just want to say that, Falawa, I think that your connection may be a little bit slow, so I had a hard time understanding the question. So I'm just going to repeat what I understood, and can you please give me a reaction like a thumbs up or something if I understood correctly? So what I understood was, what is the best way to do outreach? Is that correct? Okay. I can say a little bit about this, Darren. You can also pick it up if you want to.
Yeah, you go ahead first. I'll follow on.
Okay. So I want to lead with that outreach is not my forte. I don't feel like the most qualified person to be talking about this. I can tell you what the process is that I'm doing right now is. And I don't do outreach, I do market research. Because anytime I speak to someone on LinkedIn and we start talking about strategy, about their ideal client, about how they're approaching LinkedIn and what their results are, each and every single time I learn something. Okay. So I've just, by the way, just started adding people where I, have my client avatar and I think, okay, this person may be a good client for me. I'm just going to talk to them. I'm going to talk to them what their strategy is, just really asking questions because I'm curious. And and a lot of the times some of my assumptions have been absolutely trashed in the ground, like completely destroyed. And one example for this is I was talking to someone who was giving me feedback on something, and I noticed that she has very low engagement. And to me, me targeting active people on LinkedIn, this would be a problem. But what she said is, hey, I do exclusively outreach. I have a small capacity to take clients, and my offer is retainers and it's very high ticket. So if I manage to close 6 clients a year, I'm grand. And I don't care about engagement because I just reach out to people and I get them. And this is where one of my assumptions just completely goes to the trash. And I realize, okay, so for some people engagement isn't everything, which by the way ties back to what I said in the very beginning of the talk. Different metrics for different goals and different ideal clients, right? But this is how I would approach it, because before I can even say yes, this is someone that I'm going to offer my help to, I need to realize, do they need my help? Can I help them? Really, like, do they have this very specific problem that I'm qualified to help? Because if someone comes to me and they tell me, I think my content is really bad, and I go to their profile and I realize, yes, their content is really bad, I'm not a copywriter, and also don't have a copywriting course, so I can't teach them how to write. This is not my area. My area is, for example, telling you where your strategy is not correct and trying and helping you to create a new strategy which is based on data. This is what I do. So if I see in the conversation with a person that um, I'm not qualified to help them, it's just going to stay as a nice conversation and another relationship with someone. Because very often when you just ask questions, people open up and they're very friendly with you. And if you tell them, yeah, I'm trying to understand my ideal client, like, what's your story, they really do open up, and that's it. And if they open up and it turns out that they have the exact kind of problem that you solve, then you can simply say, yeah, okay, it happens to be exactly what I do. Do you need help with it? And you bring them to a call, and that's about it. But I don't look at this as pitching anymore. I just I just look at it as, let me question my assumptions once again and talk to people. The more you talk to people, the more you're going to know. That's it from me.
The funny thing is, as a not outreach expert, I would say that your answer is better than any expert, because the best way to do outreach is actually to not try to sell. So that, just correct me if I'm wrong, Falawe, is but you were asking as well about the positioning of how you position yourself as your profile, right? Am I correct? Okay, so that's especially where Darren comes in. Darren, you wanna pick this up?
Yeah, so as I go through this, mate, I'm probably going to start to mention the secret that you mentioned. It's not so much a secret, but more of a strategy that we've been using recently. And I want to talk about a few different pieces of the puzzle as such. The first one is always going to be your profile. So when it comes to people viewing your profile, it needs to be very clear what you do, who you do it for, how you help them. Things like the likely outcome that they're going to get from working with you. Things like social proof of good if you've got it. If you're in any kind of creative element, whether it's video, writing, or design, you can then do portfolios and stuff like that to also build credibility. Something that I recently did, I worked with Dana. I had a lot of irrelevant connections, direct connections, and I reached out to Dana because my impressions were struggling to get over 1,500 with 17,000 followers. So I got to the point where I had to do something. I knew I was making a mess. I had stuff running in the background for connecting at a high frequency. So I reached out to Dana. She pulled the data off my LinkedIn. So you can go to LinkedIn, you can request your data. She pulled all my data off LinkedIn and had a look at it. And something that she noticed was I don't engage much. So I post and sometimes comment in my own post with people who comment, but most of the time I was too busy to do any engagement. So she suggested that I start to do comments. Now I am getting to the point of the outreach and stuff that you're talking about, but the Dana suggested I start to getting comments, and she said it would massively help the situation of what was taking place. So I came up with a strategy. Now, if you have got a pen and paper, just take notes of this. Okay, so if you know your ideal client, your target audience, if you go to LinkedIn and go to search, type in the job title of that person, so whether that's coach or financial advisor or whatever it be, your ideal client, type it in there, and then it's going to filter all of the people who have got that in the job title. Okay, the next button you want to click then is posts, and what that does then, it filters out, so anybody who's mentioned coach or whatever the ICP is, if anyone's mentioned those keywords within the post, it will then bring up those, but it's filtered to relevant, most relevant. So some of those posts can be very old. The next thing you want to do in the filter section then is go to latest. So what that then does is brings the most recent posts that have been posted by your ICP. Okay, so what this does then is you'll notice that if you do it with like a minute after the hour or a minute after the half past, most people tend to schedule like an hour to the half past the hour. If you check that filter, once you've got the filter, you can then save that as a bookmark in your browser. So when you want to go and find the most recent posts of your ICP, you just click the bookmark and it automatically adds those filters. It just brings it up straight away, most recent posts. So now you've got posts which have been posted right now or within the last 1 or 2 minutes. Okay, so now this gives you an opportunity to comment on those posts and be the first person to comment on those posts. So that means then that your comment is more likely to be seen by the ideal client who posted it. So you're more likely to get a response. And anybody that comes into the comments is likely to see your comments. So for me, coaches, I know coaches follow coaches. So the chances are other coaches are going to see my comment in the post of that coach that I've just commented on. So that's the strategy I brought in, that I sort of kind of developed over the last couple of weeks. And to give you an idea of how that's impacted now, my pipeline has filled up the last week and a half. It's got too much to manage. Like I can't manage the workload that's coming in now. It's just there's been so many orders that are coming at a fast pace, and many of them are from the comments. Now, with the outreach itself, those comments have also led to ongoing conversations within the comments. It's also led to the coaches connecting with me, and it's also led to those coaches then getting in my DMs and having a conversation. So now my comment has now caused them to engage with me in the DMs rather than me getting in their DMs straight away and then trying to pitch, because you don't want to be doing that anyway. So I know that's a bit of a long-winded answer there, but it all comes down again to your profile. Okay, so you need to make sure that profile is clear and ready to convert that traffic in some way. So if you've got your headline, make sure your headline grabs the attention, especially in the first couple of words, because when you comment, that is visible on that comment. So hopefully that answers that, mate. Is Fran still with us?
That's what they're. Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good, mate.
Yeah. All right, perfect. I was actually going through what you were explaining, so in the recording we get visuals recorded. So whoever wants to get the recording of this, they will be visually seeing what Darren was explaining. Go ahead, Dana. Sorry.
I just wanted to say that for anyone, if your ideal client is active on LinkedIn, you can just copy exactly what Darren told you to do, and I think you'll see results very, very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been doing something similar, and if we have time, I might go over it. Now we have Melvin and Ian. I'm going to bring Ian up first. I hope you don't mind, Melvin, because you've been already on stage. You've asked your questions, so I'll leave you for afterwards, okay? Hello, Ian. How are you doing?
Hi, Fran. Yeah, very well, thank you. Really insightful call.
Thank you.
Hi,
My
Ian.
question, hi. My question is that I'm working with a CEO and owner of a small medium enterprise business in recruitment. He has 20,000 connections. However, his business account only has 7,500. My conundrum is really converting the difference into the main business follower account. I'm having a little bit of trouble converting them over. They're coming slowly, but is there any secret sauce or secret insight you could give me to help accelerate that a little bit?
When you say business account, is it a business page or what are you referring to?
It's a business page. It's for a recruitment business working in construction.
Right. There's one thing on this that I don't know if you guys want to speak, which is I just want to say one very simple thing. At the moment, I don't think business pages are very useful on LinkedIn. I do think you should probably consider a strategy where the personal profile comes in, because yes, you can use the business pages, but I feel like the most use you can take of a business page nowadays is when there are employees who are all feeding traffic towards that business page. I feel like the business page itself for one small business or for one person is not as useful as having a profile actually doing the work for it, a personal profile. That's my view on this. Dana, Darren, you guys want to share something on this, or even Sandra?
Yeah, just quickly. So I've got a business page, but I use it as a placeholder. That's all it is. As Fran said, it's very hard for people to drive traffic to that unless you've got employees and a big company doing it on the page. And we hear it a lot of the time that people buy from people. They want relationships with people. They don't want a relationship with a logo. And that's really important to take note there. It's more important to get the relationships and everything built on the personal profile first, where they can engage properly and smoothly. And then at that point, then they can say, would you mind following my business page? Or it can take a long time to do that unless you're an already established business. That, if you had like 5 million followers on your business page on Facebook, you can say, by the way, we've just launched our LinkedIn business page. Then you'd get like 1 million followers. But it's very, very hard to grow a business page, like very hard. You can use it for part of optimization elements.
Yeah.
But what I would suggest when you've got a business page, I would get the CEO or whoever you're working with within that business, start to post more value and personal content and engage with the right people that they're looking to attract. And then with the business page, I would only be posting things on there that is relevant to the business itself. So, we've just hired new team members. We've just, done something with this charity. We've just opened a new office in XYZ, and it's stuff about the business itself. We just got this new client that we're working with. We just launched this new product. So it's just updates on the business that people can follow if they're interested in it.
Yeah, no, really interesting. Some of the issues what I come across with leaders who are not that well informed on digital marketing and LinkedIn in particular is that they view this as a flex of the muscle, really, in terms of more followers on their business page wins every day, and that's one of the battles which I'm having on a daily, weekly basis.
Yeah, they're more status driven, aren't they, rather than...
I would challenge you to ask them one question. How often do you see a business page post on your feed?
Yeah. Interesting.
The thing is as well, like, you got to remember, they should be wanting, at that level, they should understand the importance of networking.
Yeah.
That's what you've really got to drive home, is like, you've built your business and your position off networking. That's all it is. That's everything it comes down to. If they've worked their way through to CEO, if they're not the original business owner and they've worked from the bottom up, it's through networking within the business. And that's how they get to those positions, is connecting with the right people, being in the line of sight when the right time comes. And then growing into that position. Like I said, if they're not the original business owner, and that continues. Is he the actual business owner as well as the CEO, or is he?
Yeah, I'm just going to interject that he actually is the business owner, and it's impressive. It's a business that's been going nearly 20 years.
Yeah.
Born from a bedroom, and established to a 14 million pound turnover business. So it's not flash in the pan business. It's something that's been around for a long time, and he's got a really strong network.
Yeah.
But he's coming into the challenge where he feels we've probably lost a little bit of the market share, and I believe that's down to networking in a digital space.
He'd be better off connecting with his ideal clients, his ideal customers, like other businesses, but the owners rather than the business itself. You don't want to connect to, the little receptionist on the front desk who's got no weight in that business. So you need to be connecting to other CEOs. Like this comes down to the profile as well. Is making sure that profile is geared towards becoming an authority figure.
Yeah.
Establishing authority, building credibility, and that's what we always say is if you haven't got that, the chances of other high level profiles wanting to connect with you is relatively low. But if he had, say he over the next 3 months you connected with 60 ideal clients of his, like other big businesses who were likely to be using his business, he would find that his business would expand very rapidly.
Yeah. No, agreed. Yeah, it just kept moving him into that space, isn't it, really? Because this person's very hands-on in a business as well, so
that can be a big negative when they're hands-on.
Indeed, and part of my role is I'm trying to coach him and educate him and inform him to move away from the kind of the one-stop shop approach and be that leader, be that figurehead of the business.
Yeah. Hopefully let's give you a bit of info on that.
Yeah, really, really good insight. No, thank you for that.
Dana, you want to say something on this, or even Sandra?
I'm just kind of thinking about the people who go to the doctors and they go in and they say, well, I have this disease. I mean, it's a stupid analogy, but, Ian is considering that in that analogy, you're the doctor, you should be the one prescribing what needs to be done.
Yeah.
I guess as well is you got to ask them why has he hired you? If he just wants to build a business page, why is he hiring you? Like, what is the end goal for that?
Sorry, I moved Ian down.
Yeah, it's fine.
I don't know if he wanted to continue. I didn't realize.
No, I just wanted to add that too. I know he's dropped down now, but I just wanted to say, always ask him, what is your end goal with hiring us?
Right.
Because if he doesn't know what his end goal is, so what are we doing here then? And I know as it's your service, it's quite easy to want to keep hold of that client, but sometimes if the client doesn't even know where they're going, it sort of requires a bit of a strategy and direction assessment before you can continue. Like if he just wants to grow a business page and doesn't really care about getting any more clients, then let's just grow a business page. But if he wants to get the clients, he needs to be connecting with the right people, building those relationships. He's built it, like you said, he's built it from the ground up. So he already knows what he needs to do.
If he wants to go in that direction, and I've done that in the past, like lots of years ago on Facebook. And the easiest thing is actually through advertising, honestly. If it's just for authority, you can get a lot of followers to a business page really quickly with some sneaky tactics, like sneaky in the sense that you just want people to go and click follow in the button in the page, but it's not really a business strategy per se. It's more of a branding strategy to build a bit of authority for that page. I don't know. It's not much of a. It's not very, very useful, but it happens.
Yeah, Perry's back up, mate.
Always a pleasure. If anybody has any other questions, just please raise your hand because it feels like we'll be wrapping up soon.
Cool. Thanks for having me again. Just to respond on that, I loved your comment on how many posts from company pages do you actually see on your homepage. It's very few, very, very few, if ever. So, but what you can do is, of course, you mentioned it before, Darren, you were talking about the real power, and I think Dana sort of push you towards that to start commenting. Well, you can combine those two as well and start commenting as a company page. So that can really work. And I'm actually talking to a company, and they are actually going to do this for me, and this is completely legal as well. You can give someone access to your LinkedIn company page, perfectly legal. And then what you can do is they can then start commenting for you. So if they start engaging with other people's content from your audience, you predetermine who your audience is. So I'm going to be trying this out myself. It's an external company. Reach out to me if you want me to get in touch with them. And they're going to post 10,000 comments on behalf of my company page a month. So scary on the one hand, but insightful on the other. If they're going to ask questions to my audience, and engage with them, I think that's kind of exciting. It's a new way of thinking about it. They call it reverse marketing, and I like the idea. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, it kind of falls into it's almost like attraction marketing, isn't it? And as long as you're engaging, people are naturally going to come and look at your profile. If it's a business page at that point, then they might look at, see what's going on with that business. But the business page needs to have stuff on there as well. It's not worth having like a brand new business page that's empty. So as long as there's something on there that people can look at, those that are interested will probably follow.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, we have to look at it as there's always it's always one step further in the journey, and when we start throwing all those comments around as a business page, what we're trying to do here is not a visit to a personal profile, but the business page, and then the business page has to do the rest of the work. Like Darren always speaks about the personal profiles, it would be the exact same. It's treat it as a landing page, and that landing page needs to have a goal. What's the goal of that landing page? Moving the person to to an email list, moving the person to buy a product, moving the person to the website, to the company's website. So yeah, it's always part of a bigger strategy.
Yeah, cool.
All right, I'm bringing Carolina up. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, this is Carolina. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Hi, Carolina.
Okay,
Nice to see you here.
Hi, Dana. I didn't know that this event was happening, but I opened up LinkedIn and I saw it, so I immediately jumped in. So I wanted to ask, I've got about 1,000 connections and around 20,000 followers. And regarding my connections, a lot of them are from like 10 years ago when we used to work together. I am based in Europe. These people are based in the US. And at the moment, they are not really active on LinkedIn, but they know many, let's say, high-profile people in real life. And I may need these connections in the future, but I don't need them right now, or even now. It's not good that I have them as connections because they are not interacting with my posts. So is it good to remove them or to keep them, or what would be your solution?
That's a tricky one, I would say. What I would do, perhaps if I were you, is I would list all these connections that you would like to keep, and I would actually drop them a message. Just, hey, it's been ages. How are you doing? And judging by how many answer, I would keep the ones that answer, and I would actually remove the ones that don't, because and give them a fair amount of time. I don't know. Some people check LinkedIn once a month, maybe once every 2 months. Give it some time and see who answers, because the ones who wouldn't answer a DM in like 2 months, the probability that they would ever answer you if you need them is very low. So I would just filter out who's actually checking LinkedIn.
Yeah, sorry, Carolina. I muted you because there was a lot of black background noise, so you might have to unmute yourself if you want to talk to Dana. Sorry.
I just said thank you very much. It's a good advice because I didn't know how to go around these people.
Yeah, but this approach actually has an added benefit that if it's someone that you've known years ago and you haven't been in touch in a long time, they may actually forget who you are. But if you think you may be in a position where you need to contact them in the future and in the nearer future, it's definitely going to be good for you to say hello today and just warm up that connection.
Absolutely. I'd love to know Sandra's point of view on this one, if she's willing to share it with us. Maybe she's not. You there, Sandra?
hey, yeah, I had to fix something, so I wasn't paying attention to this part now.
Yeah, so Carolina has a lot of old inactive connections, but because she feels like she might need these connections in the future, but also how would you approach the cleaning of her connections whilst also maintaining contact with those who are interesting?
So what I would do is I would send a message to that person, hey, how are you? Or it depends of the relationship you have. So if it's somebody that you are comfortable with, I would do this for myself. I would establish a contact if I didn't have it for a very time and just see if this person is responsive, because if it's not, it won't be in the future as well. But if this person is responsive, you just made a short touch point, and then you can keep them for the future. And it could be just like a small message. I would do a small message like, hey, how are you, or how have you been? I don't know, if you're close, let's catch up or something. Just see if they're still responsive, because if they're not, they will not help you also in the future, because this help part, it depends of the relationship level.
And that's why you and Dana are so amazing working together, because you gave, without listening to her answer, you gave the exact same answer.
I did. I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
One on one, absolutely, 200%. Carolina, I have another one for you. I just remembered something. So, for example, when I was cleaning up my connections, there were definitely people that I would like to stay in touch with. But, considering these are people that I've worked with before, for some of them I have Facebook, some of them I have even Instagram or email. And this actually brings me to the point where you can download your connections file from the LinkedIn data archive, and some people will have made their email address public. So you can just keep those with the email addresses. I actually mean keep, not keep. You can filter them out. You can delete them on LinkedIn, and you can just use email as a channel to communicate with them.
Perfect. Thank you. I didn't think about finding them on Facebook or other social media, which would work too, I guess, at least for some people.
Yeah, it really depends on the relationship, because I don't know, I wouldn't really add my old boss on Facebook, but judging by the relationship, you just make the best judgment. I think email could work quite well. Some people don't disclose their email on LinkedIn, so this could be trickier, but I would definitely tackle them with DMs first and actually see who's around and who isn't.
How I see it also.
Okay, I'll do that. Thanks.
How I also see it is like those old shoes or a piece of clothing you didn't wear for 5 years, and you keep saying to yourself, maybe I will wear them someday, or maybe someday it will be useful. Come on, we're all lying to ourselves. It will never be useful.
That's very good.
That's true.
All right. Thank you very much, Carolina. Thank you, everybody, for your answers. I don't know if you girls want to say something else on your subject before we wrap up.
We have one more question, Fran.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. Hi, Yanko. How are you doing? Bringing you up.
Yeah. Hi, Fran, Darren, Perry, Carolina, Dana, and Sandra, and all the audience. Thank you. It's really a great event, and I don't want to miss it, really, as soon as possible. You just do it. A question about I have to optimize my profile, and basically what I consider to be my strategy starting from September, October. But I intend, and what I'm doing right now, but it's not truly successful, is to starting from events like yours, audio events on LinkedIn. Is in fact my model includes space on Discord, on which in fact the people with which we interact and we intend to interact into the future, I want to bring them into this. It's a private group on Discord. And I wonder your opinion about connecting, as a strategy, basically, connecting events or even posts on LinkedIn to bring relevant people to Discord group. Thanks.
Well, you can try, Yanko. I mean, what I see, the positive side of LinkedIn events is that they're very low friction. So marketing wise, that's very good. I mean, it's very easy for people to just click a button and join you here and listen. They can listen from their mobile devices. They can listen from their laptops. It doesn't matter. There's not really a compromise. That's one of the reasons, like initially when we started these, we considered video, and I was very adamant on staying audio because of this specific reason, because it's so low friction that it's easy for people to join. And that's what I wanted with these events. And Darren and I, we spoke a lot about this. So yes, you can get people to join here, but then again, for example, our objective, our goal was always to just deliver value to our audience. So we don't have a second agenda. If you start the event, you would have to test it, but if you start the event with the goal of moving someone to a private community, I don't know how well that will be received, but we could try here straight away. Anybody of you, if I were to suggest right now moving you to a giving you the access to a private community, if anybody would be willing to join on this specific subject of mastering LinkedIn client attraction, would you be willing to join? Just give us a heart.
Yeah, thanks, Fran. It's really meaningful because basically what I saw is that people join the private community only when we enter into discussions with them and we have more better connection with them, but not for the listener. But you're right; it's good to
Well,
check with the listener.
you did get a bit of a positive reaction here, actually, more than I expected. So it's what Dana was saying before. Like in marketing, we might think we know everything, but we never know what's going to be. You have to test, and the audience always knows better.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. Thanks, Fran.
There is
And
one other aspect to it. Sorry, just Yanko, I want to add
Yeah,
something. In order to have the pull to get people to a private community or to anything for that matter, you need to have authority. Now, I don't know how developed your profile is. I don't know like how much engagement you have, like how many relationships you've built with people, and like what's your reach, what are your stats. But you need to be an established authority in something so that people follow you. That's basically it.
yeah, and with that, on that note, thank you everybody for actually answering. It's very appreciated.
yeah. Thanks. Really, very appreciate.
All right. Thank you, Yanko. We're going to be wrapping this up unless there's any last questions. I will hold on a second. I will share on a note that Darren, and in the meanwhile, if Sandra, Dana, you want to say something, just I'll give you voice in just a second. I want to share on the note that Darren's shared before that strategy he's using to find people. I want to share a similar one as well just before we wrap up. So again, the same using the filters. The filters are one of the most not undervalued functionalities of LinkedIn. So I do have Sales Navigator, but I do test these things out for people who don't. And for example, again, let's go again and right to the search bar and just type coach, press enter. Once you do this, you will get again those filters that appear under the search bar. And the strategy that Darren was sharing was with posts, so you can engage with posts really quickly in with people inside of your ICP. What another thing I've been doing recently is because as you if you've been with these events or if you've been following me for a while, I'm 100% about inbound systems. That's what I do. That's my specialty, and I don't do any outreach. I don't even send out connection requests. Very rarely do I send a connection request. So I wanted to create a strategy that would amplify my inbound systems, and this is more or less what I've been working on. If you write coach on the search bar and then instead of posts you go and you click on people, now what you're going to find a list of people, right? And the list of people who have coach under their coach. And when I say coach, it's the example that we were using before. Anything else, you can write designer, you can write CEO, whatever your target audience is. And this starts with what Dana shared before. Everything starts with knowing who your audience is, having an actually client avatar well defined. So now we chose the person, the coach, we clicked on people, and now the next thing we're going to do is click on all filters. So under all the filters that appear, we click on all filters, and we see a bunch of filters here that we can use. And one of the things that I've been doing, and with this, with a special trick that will show you, mostly people who are active. On Sales Navigator, you can choose an option of people who posted currently, but here the way I've been doing this is the following. So let's go locations. Let's say that we choose the United States because it's where our ICP is. Current company, we don't need to go here. Past company either. School, industry, these are, we have a lot of more filters here when we choose, when we're looking for people. Now industry is where we can go. Let's say we want business consulting and services, advertising services, professional training and coaching. It doesn't matter, we can add an industry and choose something here. For example, wellness and fitness services. Let's say that we're targeting fitness coaches specifically. So now I have wellness and fitness services selected. Profile language, English. Skip the open to service categories. We can go into, even choose here to filter more. But let's just keep it like this. And now we click on show results, and all of these people, this is a more of a one-on-one approach, right? But the reason I'm doing this is, now with the filters I chose, I have 172,000 results. These are all coaches based in the United States, wellness and fitness services. So usually around this type of coaches, right? That their profile is in English. So that's a quite a specific uh, person, very close to my ICP. Now, you will see a series of results. If you click in any one of these people, you will know more about them. You will know if they are active or not. The trick I said that I use to know if these people are active is very simple. You have an option here in the filters. Again, if you go to all filters again, you'll see followers of and add a creator. What I do here, a little trick is, I add, for example, Justin Welsh, because we know that Justin Welsh is the solopreneur creator, and most of the people who follow Justin Welsh are interested in creating content. So now we have 743 results, and most of these people will be actively creating content, and you can click on them, follow them, connect with them. The way I approach this is, because I don't send connection requests, is I find people whose content I like and I start interacting with their content. So the same that Darren was doing, but in a more strategic and individualized manner. That's what I wanted to share. And Dana, Sandra, do you want to say anything about what you guys have in the works, or actually you're about to launch? Do you actually want to be a bit specific about that? Because I think people didn't get what's coming from you.
Yeah, for sure. So with Dana, we currently have two things in works. One is the strategy consultancy based on the data insights, which you heard in this event. And also you get a done for you system where you can track what is happening with your audiences. And then we have another version that it's a little bit lighter. It's basically system, and that it's based on just on the engagement. And this is like a second part, but this one doesn't have strategy consultancy. So we have this in works, and we are tweaking it as we speak and gathering feedback.
That's amazing. So you are launching a product that helps people engage mindfully, and knowing and creating a strategy around who they are engaging with, right?
And segmenting audiences. But Dana, if you want to say something extra on this point.
Yes, Sandra, I think you put it beautifully. We already discovered that, or we basically think and speak like the same person. So I don't have much more to add than that, apart from the fact that our goal has always been to make LinkedIn interactions more human, faster, targeted, premeditated, and helpful. basically, because no one wants to live on LinkedIn, you know.
Amazing. Love it. Darren, closing words?
No, I'm all good, mate. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all for coming. Today we ran even a bit longer. I think it was the longest event we've ran. We went almost 1 hour and 40 minutes.
An hour and a half.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
It was
Thank you.
amazing. The value you delivered here was just beautiful. Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for interacting with us. Thank you for your questions. And I'll see you again next Friday.
Cheers, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.